this evening in our pledge by Board of Trustee member and Superintendent of Schools of Gilchrist County, Dr. Jim Surrency.
Thank you. Let's address the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Our next item on the agenda is audience of any citizen, but before we do that, I want to stop and thank the Gilchrist County Superintendent again and the Gilchrist County School Board and all of the wonderful staff members from Gilchrist County who have greeted us so wonderfully here and who set the bar very high when it comes to hospitality. Thank you so much. We are so glad.
I didn't get enough to eat, it's your fault.
That's right.
That says a lot from the guy that literally did the barbecue himself.
Yeah, well, I know. We know his reputation, so we knew we had a lot of
Yeah.
You did it. You did it.
That's why I never host anything.
Yeah.
Well, it is truly great in Gilchrist, and we are glad to be here. Thank you for having
Thank you, and again, thanks to everybody for coming, and thanks to the college staff and Ibby and your helpers that you did to meet with the road and her team that really put all this together. So thank you, Wayne, Phil. Thanks, sir.
Why?
Hey, let's you have to move in. All right.
Okay, our next item on the agenda is audience of any citizen. The Florida Gateway College Board of Trustees will hear any citizen who wishes to address the board on a one-time basis pertaining to a relevant topic. The board wishes to hear more about that topic. Topic will be scheduled for a future board member. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes, and the time dedicated to that topic will not exceed 20 minutes. I do not have anyone who goes signed in. We'll move forward to our next item. The approval of our previous board minutes from February the 9th, 2023. We've had those electronically and in paper in our hand. Are there any changes, corrections, or amendments to the February 9th, 2023 FGC board minutes? If there are none, we would like to entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make a motion.
With a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Mrs. McGinnis, second by Dr. Surrency, that we approve the minutes as written and we've received. All in favor of that motion, members of the board, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. The motion is carried. Our student government report, and I think I saw our student government here, yes.
She's from Bell, right?
Don't put any pressure on you to. They don't. But you're good at it. She would.
Okay. Good evening. I would like to update you all on the progress of the Student Government Association since our last meeting. On February 21st, myself and the Vice President, Micaiah Johnson, attended the FCS SGA President's Assembly. We were able to network with students from across the state. We all shared our ideas and learned about issues facing state college students. Topics that we discussed were safe campuses, college affordability, and tuition assistance for victims of sexual assault. Upcoming events and activities we have scheduled in March are tie-dye days, trivia days, the Women's History Walk, pool and ping pong tournaments. This concludes my report for today.
We have any questions, observations from the board?
Thank you.
She is an awesome RA. Handled a lot of things. I just want to make sure
Thank you.
and she works all her games. It's always around campus, so we're very happy with you.
Thank you.
Followed in your brother's steps much higher than yours.
Exactly. I do have a question for you. So tell us a little bit about how Black History Month went.
It went really well. It was sponsored by our Multicultural Student Affairs Department. We had a lot of activities, proclamation, our Black History Walk, as well as a health day. and then our Black History program, where we invited dancers and speakers, and we also honored our first African American student to graduate from Florida Gateway College.
Okay, thank you.
We're at Freaky today. And a great report, and we'd expect that from a student from Bell. Yeah, thank you, sincerely. Thank you so much. Our next item is the presentation of consent agenda, and the items on the consent agenda are fourth routine business, state director's compliance items. All items have been reviewed by our board attorney and have been available to the board for its examination. And any trustee may request a topic to be removed from the consent agenda and be discussed further. Typographical errors will be noted and corrected in the board minutes. You have had the consent agenda, those items associated with it. Are there any questions? Is there any item that any board member would like to have removed? We'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I so moved.
Thank you. For the second,
I'll second.
Mrs. Allen makes a motion that we approve the consent agenda. That's seconded by Dr. Tepedino. Is there any further discussion?
Just have a question, Arlene. The Olesi Public Safety Complex, I mean, it's really a really generous, it's a generous donation. We've gotten a lot of donations toward that complex. Can you give us at some meeting, just kind of like what the total been at that complex in terms of donations to help support it? Because it really has had a broad reaching effect. And there's some names that I don't typically see.
It's a good
And like a lot of it's in kind and doing work on it. You know, it gave people a chance to contribute in other ways where it's been helpful. So I'd really be interested to know how much that complex has had overall in total commitments from the community.
Okay. That's a good offer, and you'll be able to do that for us. Absolutely. Thank you so
My
much.
duty to fit again.
Okay, if there's no other discussion, thank you, Mrs. Moore.
And a thank you to O'Neill Roofing.
Yes. Okay,
Insignificant.
all in favor of that motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. The motion is carried. We'll now go to our director's reports. In first, Academic Affairs, Dr. Paula Gabb.
Stop us, shoot up here.
They're very happy they have to be on camera. Oh, maybe they are.
So our early childhood education program had its audit last week, and we were found 100% in compliance for our child care center management program and our child care professional program. So I congratulate Pam and her folks for doing their well done job. The Brain Bowl team competed in the national championship competition the past weekend in Chicago, and we came in 11th place out of 24 teams from across the United States. And the team will be competing in Gainesville March 24th and 25th for the state championship. We're going to be hosting 200 Columbia and Fort White High School students or theater students tomorrow morning for a matinee showing of Tartuffe. I think that sounds like Tartuffe. But the actual play is going to be held tonight as well, and as well as this whole weekend, we're going to have 3 more additional showings of that. EMS, they would like to thank us, you guys, for the pipeline money that helped them get a new ambulance. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see it at the Art and Music Festival, but it's very, very nice, and they're loving it. It has been outfitted and is already being used by the students in the class. And speaking of Art and Music Festival, we had 4 students from the EMS program. They were able to get some of their clinical hours finished or completed, taking like blood pressure and pulse rate and taking vitals of festival goers. And they were actually able to help about 70 festival goers, so good outreach. The Leo students, they were able to participate in the logistics and the traffic control for that event. And they had about 8 students or 9 students be able to help with that. And that included parking of vehicles and interacting and assisting festival attendees. So, and then last but not least, our PN program NCLEX results. 15 out of 17 that have taken the test has passed. So that's an 88.2% pass rate. And there's 2 students left to test. And then our RN program, 13 graduating students took the exam and all 13 passed. So, yes. So we are at 100% for that group. So we're very happy. We expect 45 more RNs to graduate this spring. So we're hoping that just keeps going. Any questions?
Or to do better than 100%.
I know. Thanks.
Great. Thank you so much. Student Affairs Public Information, Mr. Cardenas.
I'm not ready. Thank you, everyone. Well, they say there's never a dull day in student affairs, and today was definitely not an exception to that rule. This morning, our women's flag football team were on the way to Gainesville Airport. They were in their charter bus. They're flying out to Heston, Kansas for 4 games. On their way there, they were rear-ended by another driver at about 60 miles an hour. All of our students are safe and healthy. We had all students come back to Lake City, to the hospital. They were evaluated. Coaches are all fine. Everybody there is healthy. Our coaches did an incredible job of making sure that everybody was safe on the scene, getting everybody back to Lake City, back to campus, and taken care of. Parents were notified. Families were notified. They are currently on their way up to Atlanta to catch another flight as they all wanted to still play. So we did not let them go until we had clearance on each and every student athlete, but they'll be on the 10 o'clock flight from Atlanta to Wichita, flying out tonight.
Wow.
So,
Thank you for the update.
sure. In our career services area, the FGC Career Services Department hosted our annual healthcare career fair in our medical building on February 23rd. We welcomed 7 employers on campus that included Brooks Rehabilitation Home Health, HCA Lake City Hospital, North Florida South Georgia Healthcare Veterans Affairs, Solaris Healthcare Lake City, UF Health Shands, and Vista at UF Health Psychiatric Hospital, and our own FGC PSN program were also in attendance. As usual, we had students that were meeting with employers, setting up interviews, and moving along in that process. So we were excited to see the energy around our medical students and our nursing students again this year. Our TRIA program hosted our annual group meeting last week. We had a record attendance of 80 students attend 2 sessions, 57 in person and 23 via Zoom. Our financial aid office conducted an incredible session on filling out financial aid forms, scholarships, and the ins and outs of financial aid for current students. Our public information office, since the February 9th Board of Trustees meeting, have issued the following press releases: the FGC 75th Anniversary Art and Music Festival, flag football game and tailgate, FGC Brain Bowl, competes in national tournament, Black History Month program, basketball conference championship game, spring play Tartuffe, and our basketball district championship game. Reporters from the Lake City Reporter and TV20 have been on campus several times this month. It has been a very busy month of February, and I believe we have clippings that have been included in your file folders. FGC Athletics had an exciting February, and March Madness is alive on our campus, at least for one more weekend. Our men's basketball team are the newly crowned Region 8 Division II champions. They beat a very good Palm Beach State, 72-69 at home last Saturday. That win advanced us to the NJCAA Division II South Atlantic B District Championship game this Saturday at home at the Howard Center at 2 p.m. The road to Danville, home of the national championship, goes through Lake City this year, and we're fired up about that. For once. Yes.
Racket friend.
Yes, get your I'll bring your brackets next time, definitely. 3 Timberwolves have been named to the NJCAA D2 Region 8 All-Region team. Congratulations to Jeremiah Bars, Eric Canavan, and Antoine Weber. Antoine Weber was also named Player of the Year for Region 8 as a freshman. Antoine comes to us from the land of 10,000 lakes in Minnesota to Lake City, Florida. He averaged 15 points a game, 11 rebounds, and has been by far our best player, and by the way, has a 4.0 GPA. Amazing student to have on campus. In addition, Charles Ruiz was named Region 8 Coach of the Year for the 2nd year in a row. So the basketball program is doing exceptional work. Touching real quick back to women's flag football, they opened their season with 2 victories over Xavier University out of New Orleans, 51-0 and 34-0. We had over 250 fans pack the boys club for a very exciting afternoon of flag football. Like I said, the team is currently on their way to Heston, Kansas to play 4 games against Pratt Community College, Heston College, Fort Scott Community College, and Kansas Wesleyan. They will be back on Sunday night. Fingers crossed, and I'll be there to greet them to make sure they get back. And finally, on April 26th, FGC will be making our first induction into our new Athletic Hall of Fame. We'll be inducting Coach Gene Williams. Coach Williams was previously inducted into the inaugural class of the FCSAA Softball Hall of Fame in 1994. She coached slow pitch softball at Lake City Community College for 26 years and coached volleyball for 12 years. She won 17 consecutive conference championships, 8 Florida State championships, and 7 NJCAA National Slow Pitch Championships. They don't ask how, they just ask how many. And wow, did she answer that question. Oh, and by the way, she also coached 25 All-Americans during her career. So we're excited to be inducting her into our very first Athletic Hall of Fame. Any questions?
We are all very, very thankful that all of our staff and students are well after the accident. And absolutely, I know that went that way. Thank you for the update.
Thank you.
Great report. Marvelous day. We all know what Shirley, our 2-time conference coach of the year, it's great. It's great in the deal, Chris, but I'm sorry. It's really important. We now have enrollment marketing, Mrs. Schrader.
So close. Okay, so for spring enrollment, we're currently up 6% in head count. We're at 2,834 students compared to 2,685 students at this time last year. And then for credit hours, we're at 24,545 credit hours compared to 22,910 credit hours. So that's a 7% increase. And that number should stay pretty static because our last late start session, I believe, started, right, Paula? Okay. So we're gearing up for summer enrollment. Registration begins April 3rd for summer. The 75th Anniversary Art and Music Festival did happen on our campus on Saturday. It was an interesting morning that started with ponchos and vendors unloading their stuff in the rain. But we made the best of it and we weathered the storm. It eventually turned out to be really nice weather and we had a pretty good turnout. We were hoping for more, but we asked the food vendors like how many entrees did they sell and collected some information, and we think that there were about 1,200 to 1,500 attendees that came out during the day. And we also had some good coverage in the Reporter and WCJB as well on social media. So I think it was a really good positive impression that the college made to the community. The Board of Trustees scholarship application deadline is March 15th. We currently have 50 applicants. So we have one more week that we're pushing that. And usually there's a surge in that last week of last minute students getting their applications in. Last night, recruitment and dual enrollment attended the Ed Fair at Fort White High School. And then following that, they had a dual enrollment parent meeting where 50 students were in attendance with their parents. So that was a really good turnout for that dual enrollment meeting. We held spring graduation fair today. So today was the last day to turn in graduation applications for spring commencement. That's on May 5th. So we did one final push to get students in to apply and get their cap and gown and all that good stuff. We had 30 students that came through today. Other updates on dual enrollment, as Dr. Barrett mentioned in the grand opening ceremony, that 89 dual enrollment students are graduating with their AA or an associate's degree and their high school diploma in spring graduation. And then another dual enrollment update, we're going to have the spring articulation meeting with the counselors and administration on March 30th. And then we're holding a senior dual enrollment celebration day for all of the graduating seniors that are in dual enrollment. And if they haven't graduated from FGC, we're also going to offer them the opportunity to convert to a senior student that day. And that will be on Thursday, April 6th. Dual enrollment's been very busy because I have one more update for them. Throughout this whole month, Julie Cannon and our recruiters are going out to every high school and meeting with every dual enrollment student to help advise them for summer and fall. And actually tomorrow, she will be in Trenton. So she's doing great. That's my report.
Thank you. Any questions, observations from the head?
I have a question. Do you have a feel for the rest of the system, what they might be up in terms of enrollment and credit hours? How do we compare?
Overall, they're either flat or slightly down, slightly up. So we compare pretty well. Do you want to add anything, Dr. Barrett?
No, we've been doing some analysis over the
Yeah.
10-year period and 7-year period, and both versus pre-COVID and post-COVID. So I know the question would be, are we almost back to pre-COVID numbers now? But we're cutting back that deficit. We were up 24%, remember?
Right.
And then we tanked to 18% down.
Right.
And then, so I think we're down still from those numbers about 5%.
So historically, when, the economy starts to get tight and go into a recession, people move into education. We've always seen more people come into the system and when the economy starts to have some struggles. So I just question that because when there's full employment and people are, and there's such pressure on wages, people are opting not to go to school. But I think the labor market is starting to tighten up again. And problem is you can't get good workers. Not that you can't find workers, can't get good workers, can't get consistent good workers. But there's sort of this level of apathy out there in the workforce. It doesn't matter what you pay them, they just don't feel like going back to work. So I didn't know where,
And Casey probably could expand on this, but this, I was going to mention to you, we have the fact book. A new fact book. I will tell you the fact book, because it's open to the public everybody wants this. It will show some significant mixes now, changes in our enrollment that I've mentioned previous, that our AA transfer programs are down and our workforce training programs are significantly up, and which causes a whole system-wide and a college-wide challenge because it's not the traditional 8 or 15-week courses. There are much more people ending, completing. So it's hard to really compare apples to apples when you have people graduating with credentials and after 5 or 6 weeks when we're used to a traditional. So I think this would be a real important thing for everyone to look at that's in your files.
And it's hard to know how the incentives have really impacted enrollment and going forward, what we're going to do for summer and fall. So we're in the discussions about that right now.
Good, thank you.
Thank you so much. And next, our business services report of Howard Miston Lemon. Mr. Holloway.
Good evening. I have budget amendment number 6 that I'm requesting approval on. Budget amendment number 6 is the restricted current fund, Fund 2, for the fiscal year 2022-2023. This amendment recognizes revised award authorizations and new grants received in the 22-23 fiscal year.
Trustees, if you refer to the request or any questions concerning this amendment? If not, and we'll entertain a motion from you to approve the budget amendment number 6 in Roman numeral 10, item B, as requested.
Move to approve.
And I second it.
Thank you. Mrs. Norris moves to approve. It's seconded by Mrs. McGinnis. All in favor of that motion and second, members of the board, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
The opposed, same sign. The motion's carried.
Thank you. And it's budget amendment number 6 for the capital outlay plan for the unexpended plant fund 7 budget fiscal year 22-23. We are requesting approval of Fund 7, Budget Amendment 6, which has been revised so the report reflects actual revenue, revised budget expenditures, actual expenses, and updated projects through January 19th, 2023.
You hear the request for the approval of budget amendment number 6 or Roman numeral 10, item C for the capital outlay plan. Are there any questions about this request? If not, we entertain a motion to approve the request as stated.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve, number 7 budget fiscal year for 22-20 and 2023, budget amendment number 6 on the capital outlay plan. I get that right?
Close. That's great.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second that we approve Roman numeral 10, letter C, budget number amendment number 6 for the capital outlay plan. And that motion is made by Dr. Searcy and seconded by Mrs. Allen. All in favor of that motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. The motion's carried.
Okay, I talked a little bit last month about the deferred maintenance money that we've got approved. So here's the first group of contracts. We're so excited to get these rolling. So the college requests approval to enter into contract for access control services in our Olustee and main campuses with Security 101, and also a contract to enter with O'Neill Roofing for a partial roof replacement in Building 103. The Security 101 contracts that will allow swipe door access on every door on the campus, even janitor's closets. We will have an app where certain people will be able to lock down remotely. They can lock down an entire building. They can lock down just a room. They can lock an entire campus down remotely. And we'll all be on the same system. We're kind of hodgepodge right now where the doors that do have access, some are with a different company. So this gets everything in line and allows for a higher security. And then the O'Neill Roofing contract, that's the skylights in Nursing Building 103. They've had some issues for a while. This is a long time coming, thankfully. What they're going to do is really cool. They're going to do a New York style. They're going to do the scaffolding inside, and they're going to take pieces of the roof off and replace them as we go. So it's going to look really neat. I'm interested to see how they're going to do it, but they said we don't have to close the building down to do this. So the prices on these contracts, the Olustee, the Security 101, is $107,715.35. The price for main campus Security 101 is $821,914.40. And the O'Neill Roofing contract is $668,155.90. We will be doing an owner direct purchase with some of the items within those contracts that will save approximately $12,000 to $13,000 that we'll not have to pay O'Neill, of course. The security contracts, those were done as sole source with our IT department because of the heightened security, and that we need a program that integrates with what some of the doors already have. And the O'Neill Roofing was a competitive contract bid, or excuse me, already we piggybacked off a competitive contract. Any questions?
Any questions? Okay, and we will, I'd like to request that we entertain a motion to approve the request as is stated, a motion to approve both contracts as requested by our
Make the motion to approve the contract to do the work with Security 101 and the contract to do the work with O'Neill Roofing as one motion.
Thank you. We have a second.
A second.
We have a motion and second to approve the request as was stated by
Finance Director by Dr. Tepedino and seconded by Dr. Surrency. Any questions or discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same sign. Motion's carried. Thank you so much. There's a lot of work and effort bringing those contracts together. Thank you so much.
Michelle, you would just briefly put you on the spot. You want to tell them about this is just the beginning of $7 million worth of money, so.
Right, this is part of the large deferred maintenance money that I'll be bringing contracts regularly, and hopefully they'll go as smoothly as these three have. And we'll be able to find competitive contracts and really get the ball rolling quickly.
Good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
President's report.
Well, not to or just piggyback a little bit about the, I want to thank the board for their support of athletics. As we did the basketball game on Saturday, it was proud to show that when you let me and the administration bring back athletics in the dorms, they made a commitment to you that our culture was going to be different with that. And on Saturday, when I saw 9 young men coming from 4-year universities, many of them graduating, supporting the team that was on the floor, it made me think, and all of them are going to graduate this year for 4-year school. So that's what this culture is about. So we do things differently. We make, even though I like to win, as you'll know, the thing is it's not about winning. It's changing these kids' lives to another way or another. So I want to thank our staff for doing that because that was very important to me. Had a visit today. I did a presentation for Dr. Heimer, the second president of the college, for the Daughters of American Revolution. And there's not been many presidents. As the Daughters of American Revolution talked about the presidents, I told them there's only been 4 presidents at this college. So Dr. Heimer was one, and I think she's turning 90 this year. And so she was the first, I believe, woman president in the state of Florida at the community colleges back in '84. So it was good to see her. So I just wanted to tell the board. And she still has, I think, 2 foundation endowments placed as her. So on a different note, St. Leo University has announced they're closing the majority of their extension centers in the state of Florida. Last year they had closed 15 or 16. They announced they were closing 11 of those 11 new facilities. The one happens to be in Lake City. And actually, I think the person that was doing it was making a real turnaround, was really working with the college on that. So it was kind of disappointment. One of the aspects of it that was one of our benefit packages for our faculty and staff that as part of the lease agreement with them was they allowed us up to 52 credits of coursework. So it was an incentive for our employees. So as we look at next year's budget, we're going to have to try to backfill some of that as we try to do professional development. But it's hard. It's a 25-year partnership with them. And I know that person's looking for a job, and we would gladly welcome her here if we had anything for her. But she's been good. But remember, we have 9 other articulation agreements that we've signed over the last 5 or 6 years. So we do have a lot of other opportunities for our students. So just wanted to let you know that. Drop-in childcare will start right after the break. We've had quite a bit of inquiry. I want to thank Cassie from HR for pulling that together. We have hired our person. We have our license in place from Children and Family Services. We just have to do a shower. We're under our temporary, so we're trying to figure out how to put a shower in the boys club. And we have already had about 7 or 8 inquiries for students. And remember, this is not a moneymaker. This is a service. It's a retention issue for students and for faculty and staff that can use the service up to 4 hours a day on a drop-in basis with no charge. We feel that, so if a student needs to take a test, needs to study, if they pre-sign in for that program, they can sit out. If they need to be an online class or they need an in-person class, it's available to them. And I think it's going to be a successful program. We're running a lot differently than the other school by doing it that way. Lee and I met with Werner Trucking, had a very good meeting with them about not just trying to get the money, but trying to get some inquiries into how to get our students working with them and vice versa, synergy. And we also, thanks to Chris Brady and Lee, we had another meeting with other trucking companies to try to engage with them. Our program is full. It's been full for 6 classes in a row, Chris? But of course, it's free of charge, and our placement rate is 100%. But it's coming to a point that we can't do it for free anymore. So we got to figure out either we're going to need the companies to help us, or we're going to have to start charging ourselves. So yeah, we're pretty happy with that. Had a nice visit, surprise visit from the class of 1965. Showed up on campus, 9 young men, and they're all men because remember, from the forestry school in 1965, they all got together for the first time since 1965 and met in Lake City and stayed for the weekend. It was an interesting, it set me, if we forget our history, between 47 and really 70, I would say the majority of the students that attended, and there wasn't that many students, remember, those classes weren't that big, but we did have the Marlins and so forth in the 60s, the local people, but the majority of the people that attended our forestry school, Lake Cedar Junior College, Lake Cedar Community College, or from away, the majority of them. So all those people that came back in 65 were from away and all live in Florida. And it was kind of an interesting perspective. So it does give us some thought about how to cultivate our former alumni and stuff. It's a hard thing from being that far away, but it's something we are thinking about. So it was kind of a cool day here. We didn't know they were coming, and got to spend some time with them. We should have probably spent more time, but they actually came to the basketball game and actually came to the thing, so unbeknownst. So it was kind of a cool day. So one other thing is, a couple of last things is, legislature is in session, as we know. We're watching a lot of bills, and we're also watching the budget. And at this time of year, we're optimistic for the budget. And so we are optimistic. I think we'll do okay this year, but it's all about the end, how we do. So for this college and for our students. And then I thank Lee for being up there a lot more than I ever want to be. So, couple of things. Gala, our big 75th anniversary gala, will be on May 20th from 6 to 9 p.m. As I told last week, it's going to be the biggest and best gala ever in Lake City. So a lot of unique things. So I said that twice, Casey. So it should be a nice day, and we'd love to have you here. We're going to be announcing the how much the tables are and how much the cost of that. We are offering a significant discount for our faculty and staff because we want to try to bring them together too with the public. And the last thing, I think I have a couple of things in here for you to potentially take action. Well, one's an action I will ask you. I want to inform you about the charter school. So Superintendent Carswell and I've had 2 or 3 meetings, just 2 of us, to talk about the charter school. About 2 weeks ago, a team of Tony, Casey, Paula, anybody, and Matt Pease met with some administrators from the school district to talk about the charter school. We were in agreement to move forward with the charter school, and we were in favor of, they were unanimous, and that the charter school should be at our campus, at the college campus. It would be a charter school that would be designed primarily for Columbia County, and if there was any additional spots available, it would be open for our 4-county service area. We envision it as probably a school of about 350 students. That would be 9 through 12, where eventually, and we would do it differently. I don't want to get into too many details, but it would be, the students would earn a high school diploma from whatever the name of the charter school would be, and would also receive at the same time an associate's degree and a credential, and we see this as a STEM-based academy. I'm asking today, we have not signed contracts or anything. I would never do that, but we have been in consultation with a couple of consultants, and there is one in mind that has opened 5 of these charter schools at other state colleges, community colleges over the last 2 or 3 years. The cost is not cheap. I'm going to tell you it's about $85,000 to get us through this, but we would have our charter application, if I bring that contract to you next month, we would have our charter application approved for December of 2023. And that, what the timing is so important with that is then the funding follows that in the next legislative session. So I just wanted to get a pulse. We wanted to move forward. I know it was, there was some concern in the past, but I think the biggest concern was working with our school districts now. So I was just looking for, I don't need a motion. There was no ask for a motion, but I just wanted to bring that forward to you if you wanted to discuss that now. So that will be you, Mr. Chair.
Do we have any questions, any observations from the board?
So from the standpoint of the relationship and the support of Columbia County schools, you feel like we have got good solid footing to do this? Because I think our discussions at the past meeting have been that if we don't take the leadership role, then you'll probably have a for-profit or something come in that may not necessarily have some of the same values or have the same outlook for the community that we have. So it seemed like if we don't do it, but then, the concern was, okay, you've got to have that partnership in place. So you feel good about that?
Yeah, and it was, we presented to them, and we want full transparency with them. We first presented to them that we're interested in doing STEM and health and allied health with them because we need it, because they don't provide it. I'm not saying they can't provide it, but they don't provide it. And as we see this, it's not going to be a glamorous charter school. I mean, I want it to be a nice looking school, but the thing is, that will be mainly a hub as part of the smokes.
I mean, in essence, it's really going to compete with what they have in Suwannee County, which is, what's it called?
River Road Technical School.
What's it called?
River Road.
Yes, because, I mean, again, when you get into some of these health sciences and maybe some of the jobs that people go immediately out to the workforce, like, phlebotomist or a pharmacy tech. When I talk to some of these people, like, they're going there because they can go straight to that. So we don't really have anything in Columbia County to compete with that, do we?
Yeah. And then we don't have any. And then,
that's. I didn't want to be ignorant about it, but like I said, I'm not really up on what the school system offers. But I didn't think that they were filling that void, which is why they're all going to Suwannee County for some of that stuff.
Right. And then that's why they're always looking for us to try to do something to do.
Okay.
So I mean, I look at it as a spoke. I don't want to get is that the thing is that most of what would happen at the charter school would be a traditional based few classrooms, and then we would fill in all our AS programs, all our credential programs with our current students. So our full-time faculty would be actually doing that. We would hire our faculty for our generalists, and that's how they set up these other. So there's been proven things to it.
And just as a point too, your normal dual enrollment, which we depend a lot on here, would continue. Absolutely, we'd still have that because we're hoping to really kind of do a similar thing here with our CTE programs, our STEM programs, and focusing on job-related programs and connecting to the college, and moving even a little bit more into the dual enrollment part of CTE programs.
And Jim has those programs, a lot of them built already here at our school roster. They actually don't. So that's why
That's
the
why I wanted
challenge.
to just clarify.
That's why, I mean, so it's good that.
That's perfect.
And you said that at first we would target, even though it eventually was going to be 9 to 12, you were going to target 11 to 12 first.
We would backfill the 11th and 12th, and then that way we would not steal the school students and so forth, and then we would build those, and we would get our feet wet predictably, give us some time to get our curriculum base solid, and then open it up for 9th through 12th. So it would be probably a smaller group the first 2 years, but that way we could actually open as soon as probably fall of 25, and then the full going for fall of 26.
Do you have any idea what numbers you're looking at to start with the small group?
We would hope to bring at least 48 in for that group. So we're looking at 75. That's 350 maximum. I don't think when you look at the 900 with the decrease in school age students and so forth, I don't think we will build it. So if we needed to build it bigger, we could.
So two quick questions. Jobs wise, how many jobs do you think this would potentially add to
teaching
jobs?
Probably 12 teachers. 12, well, an initial one, because we might not hire we would actually ask for the school district to do those traditional courses in 11th and 12th still. But once it got going, I would say 12 full-time teachers. And plus, that's not the college end of the thing.
Right.
And so, I mean, they would provide the busing. So they understand what they would have to provide the school district. There's a percentage of the charter school. And we also have to talk, that's why it's important, this application. Does this board act as the school board? And the school board will fund it, but then we have to have a board for, as you know, in charter school board. And so we have to have all these things. So that's why it's and I will tell you, I'm K through 12 is not my thing. So we need somebody to help us along the way. I mean,
and then those jobs that we could potentially create, they would have like full benefits as well.
It would be the same.
Be the same as the current. Or would
They would
they would fall under the charter provision?
And what I would hope is we would hire faculty that could actually teach a college level at the same exact time. That's what the whole thing is. So our salaries will probably be higher, competitive. Oh, absolutely.
So that's kind of okay.
And that doesn't include the paraprofessionals that we would need.
All the other ancillary stuff that you're going to need as well.
But I mean, yeah, so, and that's where the budget becomes very important. And actually the financials of it, you know, it's about helping students to get jobs, but it's, and then getting transfer. But the other thing, the financial benefit for this institution as a college on top of the charter school would be much more beneficial than the current model.
Do you think the location is going to be an issue? And just because pros and cons, of course, it's nice to go to ISO to some degree. You can focus on YouTube. You can also pull from.
I asked that actually. I asked
college staff or college teachers who pop up here for this class, first pop them back in. I do think the distance traveled may be a little bit.
That's why the school busing is going to be.
That's the only part logistically.
They busing them in?
Yeah, they would bus them in. That's why they agree as part of the percentage. Okay. Because that I was surprised, if you want to jump in, I was surprised they wanted it on our campus.
Because logistically, I would think that if they were, really thinking about it, like saying, well, gosh, this is going to be a pain to get these kids here.
They thought it was very important to have it at the college. Because I said, I offered a suggestion that they're closing a couple of the schools in Lake City, and I said maybe we could just use that, and it was from the superintendent area, they wanted it at the college campus, which I was surprised. I actually was very surprised too.
Where would it be at college? And I know with St. Leo, you mentioned earlier.
It would probably, the location that we're looking currently would be the 5.5 acres that are located right next to the library. As you turn in the initial entryway, the school would face the library, would not face the roadway. It would be embedded into that forest there.
That's convenient too, because then it's not quite in the heart of the actual college.
And that's why we located it, because of safety. And
I think the periphery makes more sense there too. So that's a well thought out idea. Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you, it sounds kind of scary.
It does. It sounds kind of scary.
But
Call it visionary.
yes, but sometimes progressive visions can be intimidating. So
Well, the issue, and I will just, and other schools close to us, I'll just say Santa Fe, took that money that was offered to us, and their startup, because they didn't have the support of some of those things that we didn't have. We talked about it last time. I think is hurting that concept, because grabbing the money isn't always. You have to have the vision and to talk about it. So, I mean, we may find in this journey of spending money, if we move forward with this consultant, that this may not be for us either. But
Let me ask another question. I probably should ask it earlier. We're back to the St. Leo closing. And obviously, I'm speaking from the K-12 education perspective. We're desperate for teachers. And I think every district in Florida is having the same challenge. And especially with St. Leo, and of course we had a program in Gilchrist County a few years ago, and they closed that, and now that they're closing, did you say 15 or something like that?
11 this year. They closed 15 last year.
And we're going to be challenged to get teachers because we're coming through that program, and of course coming through the 2 years of college. And so I guess what I'm asking is there some thought about looking at the bachelor program? And I know the college is doing some now, the elementary level maybe.
Yeah, we have about how many, Paula? 24, 25 of them?
Yes.
20 growing.
But it's really going to be...
Trust me, nothing for middle school.
Well, really high school, I mean, all of it. I mean, we just cannot find certified candidates are not coming in, and it's terrible. We're going back to even consider that we had a teacher cadet program that we had at college years ago, where you basically grew your own.
And actually, Superintendent Rollerson, I haven't had a chance to talk to Dr. Gavin, called me yesterday about the teacher cadet program. And so the thing is, and she has a unique idea about hiring them at the same time we hire them, when we do the student teaching for those same students, that then they just continue after they graduate in that student teaching last semester, and they just continue with those same kids. It's kind of a cool idea, and I know there's some proposals about doing apprenticeships for teachers and so forth. So it's, we are doing it, but all it asks for a person this year to do.
To think about it, because we're really, with closing St. Leo now, that doesn't leave any options out there except online. And I just think with so many of our kids coming through the dual enrollment programs at college that, that might be a
And I do think their middle school one is a key area too. Oh, I mean, we don't do anything yet on that. So I mean,
So that's good. So, we're still in the exploratory phase. We have a lot to learn about it. We have great ideas. There's a good vision. And it has to make fiscal sense for us as a college as well. And all that's yet to be determined. But is it the consensus of the board that we support moving forward in the discovery phase?
So I think, if you spend under $100,000 on a good consultant, while that may sound like a lot, but to keep us from making some major errors, that could be smart for every penny.
and that's why I'm glad we did it the way we were doing it, because I think some people.
I really appreciate how you approached the Columbia educational teams there and superintendent, just because I felt like those are not easy discussions, and I think that they're two sides of a coin to appreciate, and going with what Dr. Jersey was saying, good teachers are hard to find, and and that if we're going to be paying a little bit more, that you're there going, oh gosh, you don't want to offend anybody, but at the same time, if you're offering that a niche that may not be getting filled fully, and there's a neighbor one county over, we're going to be hemorrhaging there as well. So, and then I do think you see the shift in what the legislation is saying. You see where there's funding there. The funding is there for a reason, and then to grab hold of it means to be responsible for it. Being a good steward of that money. I think we're as a board and as a president, I appreciate you, being very cautious. So yeah, I think so. I would support it as well.
So next month I'll bring the contract forward for you then. So that just didn't start working through legal counsel and so forth on this. Sure, I'll do it. And then the last issue that I have, and I believe we need, I don't know if there action has to be done for this, or if we do it every year and I always forget what we have to actually do, or you have to actually do, is that you actually, I think, Ibby, we just have to present the results of the board evaluation that you completed. Your board self-evaluation is in the book, and that's to be sent to the Department of Education. Required to send that to
I don't think that required.
Okay, I just wanted to let you.
Cut file.
And that is my report.
Okay, and that is contained in the back of your packet, of course. All right, is there anything that anybody has for the good of the cause? Topics for future meetings, please contact the president. You are at liberty at any time to inspect our warrant register. And our next meeting will be back at the Florida Gateway College boardroom on April the 13th, 2023 at 5 p.m. We have a motion to adjourn. We did it still news. For a second. The old fool stay. All in favor, aye? Aye. Thank you.
Thank everybody for coming to Gilchrist.
Thank you.
Important station.
It's nice.
If something is out there.
If there's any left, it's still out.